I'm Rafael Alvarado. I'm the program director of the master's degree program here at the Data Science Institute, now the School of Data Science. Yeah, so the best way to characterize my career is that I am a digital humanist. I get very interested in this field because I could clearly see that it was a place where I could apply my interests in human culture, but also my skill set in quantitative methods that I had developed as an undergraduate. I had spent 2 years in the engineering school before switching out and studying philosophy. I had been involved in a project I mentioned earlier. It's called the Lancelot Project. It was headed by a now deceased professor at Princeton University, a guy named Carl Udy, who was a Romance language scholar there. He'd been interested in creating a digital critical edition of these poems that involved layers of markup. Every single word of the poem was identified with a grammatical part of speech, and every phrase in the poem was identified with a poetic figure. And when I got involved with the project, they had reached an impasse because they were basically doing it all in Microsoft Word. And I said, you need to database this. So I created a structured relational model out of the text that was able to create a model for the relationship between poetic figures and linear textuality. And one of the things I did was tried to see if there was a correlation between what I called form and meaning. And by form, I meant poetic structure, like the use of a chiasmus figure in a text. And by meaning, I focused on a subset of that, which was the names of people in the text. And so I wanted to see whether the use of poetic structures was correlated with the presence of characters. And it turned out there was a strong correlation, even though it's a small sample set because it's just the size of that text. But for example, the protagonist, Lancelot, is highly correlated, almost uniquely correlated with chiasmus. And the bad guy, Meleagant, who is kind of a demonic character, he's a sort of antithesis, he is almost uniquely associated with another figure called Nominatio, which you can interpret as a kind of subversion of language. In other words, when the author uses nominatio, they're using language, but they're also using double meanings and sort of disrupting the normal narrative flow by making you think about other things that are being overtly said. And I thought that was really cool. I thought, oh wow, this really shows that the author at some level is playing with this relationship between poetic form and content. And that's when I realized also that I needed to learn a lot more. So that was a turning point. And then later I got more involved with larger collections of texts. What happened in around, I guess it's 2010, is that the field became revolutionized pretty much by Google Books, when a lot of the primary sources on which a lot of digital humanities was based got digitized on a massive scale. And people started switching over, the methods in the field started switching over to more text analytic, natural language processing, text mining type approaches. And I got fascinated with those approaches at the time. And so essentially I've transitioned from digital humanities to data science plus digital humanities. And I focus on text analytics. I call it exploratory text analytics. And that's pretty much where I am now.